Well, hello everybody. Welcome to today's installment of Real Talk. We are here to talk about movies and TV shows, and that's it. And oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. I just did a Mickey Mouse impression. Let's just get right into it, shall we? The new Christmas movie, Red One, starring Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, Lucy Liu, and J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons is playing Santa Claus, by the way. Dropped a second trailer today, and I gotta say, really enjoyed it. I liked the first one a lot. I was already interested in this movie. But I know a lot of people were not happy. People said it's too silly, too cheesy, which I like that kind of stuff. But it's all opinion-based, right? So the way they played this trailer out, they give a little bit more backstory to Chris Evans' character. They're showing why Dwayne Johnson in general needs Chris Evans' character's help. They're giving us a reason as to why these characters are being put together, and I think that definitely helps as far as getting people to want to go and see this movie. One thing I'm actually really excited about, while I'm not a huge Dwayne Johnson fan, I'm really excited for the dynamic between Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson. I think they're both phenomenal actors. I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun to see on screen. The beginning shows Chris Evans being able to show off his skills, and yeah, I would pick this guy too to fight Santa Claus if I needed to. And then I mentioned earlier again, there are moments where Dwayne Johnson's character maybe it just seems like he's too by the book, and he needs someone like Chris Evans to help him out and find Santa Claus. They want the best of the best, and these two appear to be the best of the best in this world. So it makes sense why they would be put together. I do have one worry, other than the fact that this movie might not have gotten the attention of enough people. I'm worried that they're going to show us a lot of the big scenes before the movie even comes out. Like in this trailer, for example, there's a scene where Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson punch Krampus in the face, and I feel like that's going to be a bigger moment, at least the scene. And I could be wrong, of course, context is everything, but I don't know. I'm just worried that they're going to show us too much. Another scene was the scene where Chris Evans puts a snowman's face on a barbecue pit, which is admittedly a pretty cool scene. But again, is that one of the tension grabbers that we see a lot in these kind of movies? I gotta believe that they're doing it for a reason. I do worry a little bit about this going forward. Although I will say that I don't know if this is a huge thing to worry about, seeing as the fact that they did show that there is a greater evil villain or antagonist, so to speak, that appears to be capturing holiday icons, or at least gathering them up for some reason. So at least there seems to be an overarching story, not just Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson punching holiday evil people in the face. But I'm excited to see what the mystery is that's going into this film. I'm definitely planning on seeing this movie. I think you should as well. Let me know in the comment section below if you saw the trailer, if you liked it, if you're excited for the movie. Do you think this is a waste of time? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Cool? Alright, let's move on to the next topic for today. And this one, it's bittersweet for me. More bitter than sweet though. So Beetlejuice. It's in its third weekend, and if you watched my video on Instagram from last week, you would know that Beetlejuice also got #1 in the box office last weekend. And guess what? It did it again for the third weekend in a row. Great job over at Warner Brothers and everybody involved in that movie. Tim Burton, Jenna Ortega, Michael Keaton, everybody. But I'm sad, because it means that Transformers 1, one of the, from what I'm hearing, one of the greatest Transformers movies ever to be made, came in second, coming in at only $25 million, just below Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice actually made $26 million, and Transformers 1 was at $25 million. And like I said, I'm pretty upset about it. Just barely missing that #1 box office spot. And not that box office spots are the most important. It's more important that this movie is getting watched and accredited for the work that the people that are working on it have done. But it's still showing us that people aren't wanting to go back and see Transformers in the theaters. And I can't say I blame them, but it doesn't make it any less sad or any less upsetting when we see something like this happen. Now, I don't even know if this movie's going to make its budget back, let alone everything afterwards as far as marketing and then movie ticket sales go. The budget was $75 million just for the production of the movie. That's not including the marketing. And I gotta say, it worries me that this movie might not make it back. Now, it could, but we do have a lot of movies coming out in the next few months. Not all of them are in the same demographic as far as who's going to see these movies. We have Wild Robot that might be a competitor, but after that, the next one that comes out is Joker. And I don't think you're taking kids to see Joker. Maybe you are, but I don't think that's the target demographic. And then after that, we have not a whole lot coming out. We do, but they're more award season movies, so they're not exactly kid-friendly films either. I still don't know if we're going to be seeing Transformers 1 make a comeback, though, in the upcoming months. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I could be wrong, and I very much hope so that I am wrong. I mean, we saw Elemental last year come back and, from a very poor opening weekend box office, come back and make over $500 million in the box office by the end of its run. I love Elemental. You should go check it out if you haven't seen it. Not only is Elemental Pixar, it's a company that has a lot more appeal and has a lot more wins in its past than losses, unlike the Transformers franchise. And maybe that's just me over worrying. It probably is. I do that a lot. I just want this movie to be seen. So far, Paramount, as much as I'm not a fan of some of their adult properties, they have been doing a killer job at reintroducing these older, younger classics that I grew up with. Example, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Ninja Turtle movie from last year, and then this year with Transformers 1. They've been doing a pretty stand-up job as far as making decent, good films that are fun to watch. And I want them to continue to do it, but if they can't get their money back, then they're not going to do it. And it makes sense why they wouldn't. I really hope that the bad blood or the bad taste that a lot of people have in their mouth from the most recent Transformers movies, the live-action ones, I hope that doesn't sour the potential that this Transformers 1 movie can make. But it could all be for naught. I could just be blabbing about something that's not even going to happen. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. If you agree with me, please leave me a note down in the comment section below. If you disagree, let's talk about that as well. Whatever you have to say about this, let me know in the comment section below, and we'll talk about that later. All right, let's move on to this next one. It's another trailer. We have 2 more trailers we're talking about today because it's a Monday. Yeah, we got stuff going on. It's Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2. I just saw the first Gladiator movie a month ago, maybe. I loved it. It was great. I'd never seen it. We watched it in anticipation for this next one. And I gotta say, I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing. Ridley Scott hasn't been firing on all cylinders lately, but that's not to say that this movie has a lot of potential, right? Maybe going back to a franchise he's worked on before might be what he needs to get him back into his groove and making good films again. But let's talk about this trailer, yeah? The time has cometh for you to unsheath your sword and go into the Colosseum and become a gladiator. Okay, I'm going to stop doing that for a second. But the time has come, everybody. The movie is almost here. It's a little under 2 months away, and it's going to be here before we know it. But we come in and we see Paul Mescal's character, Lucius, come in, and he has some kind of vendetta against Rome, as did Maximus from the first movie, right? Of course, after noticing all the events that happened in that first film. But we see Paul Mescal's character coming in, and he's ready to fight, just wanting to get some blood on his blade, right? And so when I first saw this trailer, my initial thought was, oh no, we're just getting a copy and paste from Gladiator 1 to Gladiator 2. And I hope I'm wrong. And I, from what I could see in the trailer, it seemed to squash that bug, because yes, maybe the first half, or at least the first half of the trailer, is giving us this idea that, yeah, we're going to have some kind of revenge story going on. We're also going to have a different path that Lucius takes in the second half of this film, or at least in the second half of this trailer. So, very interesting dynamic we could see was Lucius, who was also revealed in this trailer to be Maximus' son. But a dynamic that we could see is Lucius having some kind of grudge against somebody in Rome, whether it's the emperor, the current emperor, or maybe just Rome itself. And we could see that how he's going to handle this situation, this trauma, differently than Maximus did. And maybe it's a better way, maybe it's a worse way, maybe it's one that does fall into that rage more. They seem to bring up rage a lot in this trailer, but we won't know what it's like until this movie comes out. Now, I, for one, I feel like I would be very excited and very interested in seeing a rage-filled gladiator. Whereas Russell Crowe's gladiator, Maximus, yes, he had a lot of rage in him, but he was able to control it so well, to the point where he didn't kill the king, or Joaquin Phoenix's character, Caesar, the emperor, until the duel happened at the very end of the movie. Are we going to see that in Gladiator 2, or are we just going to see him just completely murder these emperors? We already see a bow fly from, I'm not even sure who shot the arrow. Maybe it might have been Paul Mescal's character. It could have been Pedro Pascal's character. I don't know where it came from, but a bow was shot at the emperor, or at least one of the emperors, who, by the way, Joseph Quinn playing the emperor, looks great, okay? Makes me very excited for seeing him in Fantastic Four. Now, from Joseph Quinn, we also see Pedro Pascal playing the role of what seems to be someone who's trying to keep Lucius in check. I'm not really sure. He's just there as an antagonist, it looks like, or maybe antagonist turned protagonist, or bad guy turned good guy, if you want to go that route. But Pedro Pascal brings it, as he always does. And then, of course, we got Denzel Washington, who that character obviously is going to be very much tied to Lucius. And I'm excited to see how that dynamic's going to go. He wants to take over Rome. He wants to be emperor. That's a new dynamic as well, right? So again, I'm thinking for at least a good amount of the first half of this movie, and maybe even a quarter of the movie, we're going to get something similar to what we got in Gladiator 1, which is fine. We're used to that. It's been years since we've gotten that story. I think it would be perfectly fine if we, for some reason, went back to that story, got an idea of, okay, this is where we were at, and now this is where we're going this time. I think it would be very well done. I don't see a problem with that. But do you? That's the question. Do you like this trailer? Did you watch it today? Are you excited for Gladiator 2? Did you like Gladiator 1? I gotta imagine you did. It's a classic, and I got scolded when I didn't watch it until I did. But I'm very interested to hear what you all have to say about this trailer. Please leave a comment down below. Let's talk about it. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, whatever it is, let's just talk and converse. No hate. We're here to talk and have fun, talk about movies. Cool? Alright, let's move on to this last trailer of the day. And it is pretty freaking awesome. It's the Thunderbolts with an asterisk. Now, what does that asterisk mean? Who knows? I've heard people say it's a sun. I've heard people say it's just an asterisk, that there's going to be a footnote later on at some point during the movie or at the end of the movie. Who knows what that asterisk means? But if you are aware of what Thunderbolts is, it's a Marvel movie that's coming out next year in May. I think May 2nd, May 5th, somewhere on there. And it's going to be focusing on a lot of the anti-heroes that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe leading up to where we're at now. They include Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. If you don't remember her, she was one that can kind of phase through things. American Agent from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who in that series was one of my favorite because of the drama that he brought. Not because of what he did. No. But he's in here. We also have Bob. More on that later. And of course we have Yelena, Alexei, and Taskmaster coming in from Black Widow. And then we can't forget about Bucky Barnes, who doesn't seem to be part of the group, but maybe comes in later? Not too sure. The trailer starts off with an emotional hit with Yelena and Alexei talking, and of course they share the bond from Black Widow as father and daughter, even though they're adoptive. But it starts off with that emotional hit. Of course we get some comedy from David Harbour. He's great. But we see Yelena start to reflect on her life for the past few months, and she asks Alexei as well, are you satisfied? Are you fulfilled with where you're at? And as she starts to reflect, we've seen some of the things that she's done in the past few months, and we see that she hasn't followed the path of Natasha. But as we continue to go through these reflections, we land upon the scene where 4 of our main anti-heroes come into play, and that is Yelena, U.S. Agent, Ghost, and Taskmaster, and of course, let's not forget Bob, even though he's not really one that we've seen before. But Bob's in there, and again, more on Bob later. But they all meet for the first time in what looks like a very tight-spaced enclosed room, and I heard somewhere that it might be the Raft. If you guys don't know what the Raft is, it's a high-stake security prison where superpowered beings are held, and their powers are dampened, and that's a huge thing in the Marvel Universe in general. So it would make sense, not only because it's holding some superpowered beings that may have gotten loose, and that's where they're going to be talking about them at, but it also is one of the first times, or at least during one of the comic lines, where we see the Sentry come into play. And going on to that, Bob is a character who is an alter ego for the Sentry. The Sentry is an all-powerful being, character, superhero, whatever you want to call him, and he has the might of thousands of men. He can fly. He has so much power, so much potential to be a bad threat to the world. But of course, in the comics, he mostly uses it for good. However, he does have a separate little entity in his body called the Void, which kind of gives him his power, but that goes a little bit deeper. I don't know if we're going to hear too much about that within this movie, but we're getting Sentry, or at least a version of him. I mean, we're getting Bob, so there's that. That was very exciting seeing him. I heard rumors that we were going to be getting the Sentry in this movie, but I don't know if it was ever confirmed, and now with this trailer, it obviously is. The only thing I had to go on was the back at D23, they did do a trailer, and that was leaked, and in that trailer, we did see the Sentry show up, but that was not shown in this trailer, so, you know, we could have been there, it could have just been a tease, who knows, but we're getting Bob. We're also getting some kind of powers coming from him because he got bullets bouncing off of him. But it's very exciting because, well, we're asking the question now, what the heck is so powerful that the Sentry has to get involved? Why is Marvel bringing this guy in? You know, and it just leaves us a lot to speculate on, which I'm very excited to be back in this mindset within the Marvel Cinematic Universe because we haven't had it in a long time. And at least not to the point where the result, whether we're right or wrong, was interesting enough, right? I mean, we speculated a lot about what would happen in the Loki series and Multiverse of Madness, but none of it followed through. I mean, we got some cool cameos in Multiverse of Madness, but again, they died. Like, it didn't matter that they were in there. Anyways, it's not a talk about Marvel movies. We're talking about this trailer, and I loved it very much. I think a lot of people are going to be on board with this trailer. Definitely showing us the mystery in there. We don't really know why they're getting together still. We just know that they are. And I'm very excited to see the dynamics and the chemistry with each of these characters. I mean, I think everybody has done a great job on their own. And I think when they are put together with different personalities, that they are just going to shine. Especially David Harbour's character, Alexei. Red Guardian is his hero name. And I think it's going to be a very fun film with a lot of serious moments and a lot of potential to affect the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not that it needs it, of course, but I think it's going to by default. And when we get there, I think we're all going to be excited on when we land. I mean, right after that movie, we have Fantastic Four, and right before it, we have Captain America, Brave New World, or whatever the new title is. And, you know, there's a lot that could happen from those three movies coming out in the first 6 months, 7 months of the year. It's back to back to back. It's crazy. Very excited to see what's coming up. And I hope you all are too. One of the other things I really wanted to bring up about this trailer is, and not just the trailer, but the movie in general, I looked up the cast and I saw Harrison Ford, the Thunderbolt Ross, coming in and being a part of this cast. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to get excited. Yes, I am. I'm going to be stoked if we get a Red Hulk in this movie fighting the Sentry. That's going to be killer. That would be amazing. Oh my God, I wouldn't be able to hold my excitement. Now again, we don't know what's going to happen in this movie, but one thing I think that we can all count on is there's going to be a lot of comedic moments, especially with David Harbour's character. Even just the very last scene where he says, "She is bulletproof," and then Bucky shoots it, and then the window blasts open, he says, "She is bulletproof-ish." I mean, timing is everything, and he does a great job of it. And of course, we have U.S. Agent coming in and being, "Oh, is that Bucky?" And then Yelena saying, "Oh, that's not good." And look, I'm excited for this trailer. If you can tell, it's probably the most excited I've been for a trailer in a long time. I can't wait to see how this movie goes. I can't wait to see what happens in the rest of the trailers that come out, and I hope that everybody here is also excited to see what happens in Marvel going forward. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Did you see this trailer? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know why in the comment section below. What do you think this means? Why do you think Sentry's coming into the fold? Why do you think we're getting all these heroes together? I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories. Let's just converse. Let's talk about it. That's what we do here. And with that, everybody, make sure we're leaving comments on everything we talked about today. From the first trailer we talked about, which was Red 1, to the Transformers box office opening week this weekend, the Gladiator 2 trailer, and of course the Thunderbolts trailer. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. Did you like any of them? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Do you think that Beetlejuice is rightfully so in the first place for this weekend again? Or do you think that Transformers should have had a shot or should have done a lot better? Or do you think that Transformers' lack of interest from the past few movies really hit it hard and that people really shouldn't judge it based on those live action movies and should just judge this one on its own merit? I think that's the case, but what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let's conversate. We're here to talk about movies and TV shows, and that's it. And that's all we're going to do. And with that, everybody, that is it for today's episode. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you have any thoughts about what I said today, let's talk about it. There's no hate. We're just here to talk and converse and be a community, because that's what this is all about. Very excited to hear what all of you have to say, and hope you all tune in on the next episode of Real Talk on Real Life Entertainment. Talk to you all later. Peace.